Welcome to It's All About Connection, NVC with Dr. B.
I was just thinking about how, through the lens of NVC, people are just strategies, which means you don't really ever need to get attached to anyone. Some people might find very clinical and cold and harsh, all
Does
judgments.
this mean that you don't need me in your life, Heather? I'm insulted, Heather. You don't need me in your life?
I love you so much. I love you with an open hand. And that's the true way to love and have people in your life.
What does that mean? You love me with an open hand.
It's like when you love
What's
someone, set them free. It's kind of that same principle, like, don't, if you close your hand around someone, you're using them as a strategy. You're hanging on to your strategy tightly.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. I could kinda see that. But let's break it down for people if this is what you're basically saying that people in your life are not a need. Is that what you're saying?
Maybe not
And is that,
people.
like, people in general? Like, any people in your life are not a need, or is there specific people in your life are not actually needs in your life? So, like, I'm married. I don't really have Mike is not really a need for me. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, maybe. Well, I don't know. I can't speak for you, but I know for me, I do need people because I have a need for connection. However, if I like used you as a strategy for connection all of the time, I think I would be in a place of pain. Like, that doesn't mean I don't miss you or think about you. I just get my needs for connection and fun and play and um being seen somewhere else. You kind of like redirecting.
Hurt. I thought I was the only one in your life that could ever contribute to those needs for you.
I
I'm
think this is
deeply
a
scarred
joke,
by this.
but I think many people would be hurt if they heard someone in their life say this. Someone they were close
Yeah.
to, at least.
Yeah, it's hard to wrap your head around this concept. I think maybe it goes back to some of the fundamentals of NVC. So people maybe that have just tuned into our podcast maybe missed some of the earlier episodes on like what are we talking about when we say a need and a strategy? What let's first go back to that because I think that that can be helpful giving some context to this conversation. So universal human needs are the things that everybody in the world can agree upon wanting. That's how you know it's a need. Everybody in the world wants love. Everybody in the world wants safety. Everybody in the world wants fun. What else? What are some other needs?
Community,
Com-
peace,
Community,
closeness.
rest, health, well-being. There's a whole big list. If you're watching this on YouTube, you could see my list. There's a whole big list of needs. Right here, the needs. Yeah, there's bunches of them. Everybody in the world really wants respect and inclusion and belonging and growth. There's just so many of them. That's so if you say, is this something that everybody wants? Then yes, it's a universal human need. It's what actually connects us as human beings. It's also in NVC terms, Dr. Marshall Rosenberg, who developed NVC, his number one key takeaway, I think, is that all conflict is a tragic expression of an unmet need. All conflict is basically about a need. Mostly what people are communicating is usually about a need, but we don't have the language of needs. In fact, in our society, a need is a dirty word. Like you shouldn't have a need. I think we have some thoughts around that. But this is a different way of thinking about needs. And in NVC, we make the distinction between a need and a strategy. So needs are universal. Everybody in the world wants them. Strategies are individualized way of getting those needs met. So I think what you're trying to say is like, for me, Mike is just merely a strategy.
Yeah, everyone in your when you think about it, everyone and most things that you do in your life are just strategies.
Yeah, that's true. So Mike's a strategy for comfort and kindness and connection and fun and support. He meets many needs, right? Um, companionship,
But it can be
kind.
hard to hear that, you're just a strategy.
Yeah, because we tend to have our favorite strategies, right? You're one of my favorite strategies for fun and communication and connection. And so, yeah, it's hard to pivot. Oh, like I can replace you? Is that what you're trying to say? Everyone can basically be replaced. I think that's what you're saying. And there's probably some truth to that, though. It's hard to wrap your head around it.
Yeah, it's
Like,
I
yeah, I mean,
mean, I think it's
people
yeah.
die and kind of, the roles that they served in your life, you will find other strategies more than likely if you want to have well-being and health, mental health, you'll figure out other ways to fill the holes that you might not be able to fully, but according to this conversation, shouldn't you be able to fully fill the hole?
What do you mean?
Like, okay, your parent dies, and obviously for many of us, not all of us, they're a huge strategy for love and care, right? And but then they die. So you're saying that there's a way to replace that love and care.
Maybe not that love and care specifically. I think it's much more nuanced and complex than either of us can really talk about in
Mhm.
15 to 20 minutes. But I think that love and care specifically, there is probably a loss with that unique connection that you had. But there are other ways to meet your needs for love and care.
Right. Yeah, maybe not. It's funny. I'm looking at the picture of my mom right now as I'm talking. Um, maybe not exactly in the same way that that person provided it, or maybe to the same depth or level, but there are other ways to get love and care.
Yeah, and you
And
can still miss and grieve that particular source of love and care.
yeah, I mean, I think that's a big part of NVC too, is noticing when you're mourning a particular need via a strategy. Like sometimes you get to a point of realizing like I might not ever have that need met by that strategy, and you have to try to widen your thinking around ways of getting your need met. But yeah, there might be some real pain and sadness around that particular loss, that particular strategy. Um,
Yeah. And I think kind of just calling back to the last episode we did around kind of shifting like, oh, I don't have this thing to, oh, I really love when I have this thing. I don't know why I just thought of like, if you lost someone close to you and you were thinking, I really miss that. I miss that a lot. Like I wonder what it would be like to shift it to like I loved having that. How it could shift you.
Well, yeah, I don't know if it would be loved because that would be past tense and that would make me think that I don't have it anymore. And then therefore I would feel sad. But
Yeah, it's a
maybe
different
I
kind of
love it when
mourning.
I have, and I think about situations where I have it. That might be a little bit more uplifting and able to, I don't know, just help you navigate in a moment like that. But yeah, so I guess you just wanted to share about this thought that people are just mere strategies. That's it. And yeah, in a way, I think that there's some truth. Not everybody in the world needs Mike Bigby. I I think maybe they really do, but they just don't know it. Because he
Yeah.
really does help meet so many needs. Um, but yeah, not everybody in the world needs Mike Bigby. Um, they might have other ways of getting their needs for support met
Other
or
strategies.
kindness, yeah, or care. Anything else to say about this? Just something for people to
Yeah.
think about, because I think we do get very attached. We do get very attached to people in our lives, and sometimes that can end up causing more disconnection. I guess that's really the whole point of maybe why you're bringing this up to begin with, is
Yeah,
that when
just
there's
to
an attachment to a strategy, when there's an
Mhm.
attachment to a strategy, that's where we can get into kind of some difficult areas in our lives. So to
Yeah,
have a
just to
wider
create more space and allow for more room allow room for different strategies. It's like,
Mhm.
if I live on the other side of the country from you, but if I just, like, sat around all day pining for you or, like, calling you and making you my strategy for connection, I would be in so much pain. And it's kind of similar to,
I
like
think I would be in pain too, just to be honest. I
Yeah,
mean, I
exactly.
kinda like it a little bit, and it'd be really nice for my ego, but after a while, it'd be like my clingy girlfriend, not a good experience at all. Yes.
And it's the same principle as, like, using if you were to use Mike, and I think we do put a lot of pressure on romantic partners in our culture, put pressure on them to meet all of our needs. And if you used
Mhm.
Mike to try to meet all of your needs all of the time, that would
Yeah,
just
it's true.
be
I
much.
remember years ago, I think I've probably mentioned this on a podcast one or once or twice before, that, like, years ago before I knew NVC, I remember I would get sometimes upset with Mike because he's kinda quiet. He doesn't like to say too many things, he doesn't use words as often as I do. I think that's probably observational. And I would want more communication, right? Then I learned NVC and I realized, oh, just kind of what you're talking about here. He's just a strategy for getting communication needs met. Like that's it. And maybe I could go find some other strategies. So I started teaching NVC, and now there's lots of people to have communication with. And then I started realizing like how many needs he does help to contribute to. So I could kind of let go, and now there's nothing around the communication need. Like I don't have any longing for that when it comes to Mike. There's so much more ease around that now. Because yeah, I'm able to shift and not have the demand energy around it. Does make a really big difference when you can kind of free yourself up in that way. Um,
Yeah, it
and
allows
not like in a way of like, "Ha ha, I don't need you. I have other strategies." Like that wouldn't be cool either. No, we're not doing it that way. We're just kind of trying to give just some more openness and freedom to everybody in the circumstance. Yeah.
yeah, just allows for more freedom and openness in your relationships, I find.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Probably a lot more joy and ease as a result of that as well.
Mhm.
All right, folks, that's all we got for you today. Please join us. We'd love to have the whole world join us in the intro class, 8 weeks. It's not like a ton of time each week. It's an hour of self-paced, and then it's 75 minutes of a Zoom session where you get together with folks and practice the process. You do that for each of the 8 weeks, and we get pretty great reviews. That's a good judgment, but people tend to say things that I like to hear. How about that? About our intro class. And we'd love to have you join us. And also, what
Our
else we share out?
empathy our
Mhm.
empathy warm line number is 850-706-0488.
I think it's finally getting in my head. We've only been doing this 3 years, and you've been repeating that. I think it's finally getting there.
You'll have
All
to do it
right,
next
folks.
time.
Yes, I'm going to do it right off the cuff. You're going to be so impressed. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
You've been listening to It's All About Connection, NVC with Dr. B. For more episodes and guest bios, please visit us at www.thebigbmethod.com. That's www.thebigbmethod.com. And remember, empathy first,